Welcome to Real Estate Soup with Mike Osterman.
So we just did a story on a house in Georgia being foreclosed on. Squatters had showed up. This story is a little different. This guy is a squatter hunter. He helps homeowners get their properties back through however, I'm not sure. Let's find out. So it says, when I turn up the pressure, let's start over. When I turn up the pressure, it's pretty easy to get the squatters out. Flash Shelton tells Inside Edition, as the county is seeing a rise of the number of squatting cases, it has also given rise to a new kind of business, squatter hunters. Squatters can be a nightmare for property owners. Some property owners tell Inside Edition squatters moved into their properties, caused mayhem, and refused to leave. As we had mentioned before in other stories, we had a squatter in Georgia where they found out that the person had passed away. They showed up, foreclosure auction, and their I don't know what their intentions were after, in some cases, I think people know someone passes away, and I work in the probate real estate world, so I deal with this all the time. But someone passes away, and then they have nobody really knows. In the cases that I'm working on right now, a tenant, right? Say you have an owner who passes away and they've got rental property. Well, the tenants are going to know that the person passed away. And so it's incumbent upon the beneficiaries, the heirs, whomever is in charge of the estate, to notify those people about, what's going to happen. Are they going to keep the property, sell the property, whatever it's going to be. In a couple of cases that I'm working on, the tenants have actually paid the property taxes in hopes that they're going to be owners someday. And in California, we have adverse possession laws that allow people to steal property. But there's a long legal process to that. You have to show color of title. You have to pay the property taxes. You don't have to live in it, but somebody has to live in it. So you could rent it out, and it doesn't have to be the prettiest of houses. I know of a couple properties where these types of things are happening, and but it's an entirely different ball of wax, right? We've got some people getting some online information. Certainly obituaries are public information. Property addresses are public information. And so I can see a clear path to how people would end up becoming squatters, and in some cases legal squatters. But going back to the story, in Atlanta, 1,200 houses are being illegally occupied. So these squatter hunters are pretty busy folks. And I've seen some of the videos of how they kind of get people out by putting cameras back onto the people, boarding up doors, sealing them off. I don't know what the laws are when it comes to some of this stuff. And certainly if you're a homeowner that, gets a squatter in there, there's going to be some damage to the property. Some things are going to happen. In one case, I was working with another investor on a house in Oakland, and there was a 6-unit property, and one of the tenants started renting out the individual apartments, and she was the landlord, and the people that were trying to sell it had lost control of the whole thing, and they took a huge discount to move them out. But at the same time, you have to now go in and persuade these people to, they have to move. And now you've got 6 units. I don't know how many people were in there, but eventually they got the property, and then they got the people out. And it took, I think over a year for this to happen. So these squatter hunters are certainly staying busy. In Riverside County, a woman fought to get inside the home that she and her husband had just bought. They say the previous owner refused to leave, citing COVID eviction protections. It took a 14-month legal battle before the new owners were allowed to claim their property. I mean, this is a huge problem that's going on right now. And I certainly, when I work with my probate clients, we regularly go out and introduce ourselves to the neighbors. I have the petition and I have the property profile, so it's not very hard for us to stop something that could come up. But you really need to stay on top of these things because there's so many people moving in and out these days. And one of our condos that we were working on, a utility guy he wasn't squatting, he was a thief, but it's very important for people to set up some sort of system to say, hey, if something goes wrong, who are you going to call? Another story here in Beverly Hills, same article. A realtor for a mansion says squatters had moved in, changed the locks, and turned the $4.5 million property into a raging party house. We did a story not too long ago about a basement turned nightclub. That wasn't a squatting story, but yeah, these kids and these people are having a lot of fun with some of these empty houses. Anyhow, if you got a story, oh yeah, that's right, we do have that. Where's my little note? Hey, I'm looking for your story, and it's got to be a good one. Right? 800-224-6962. And look, I'm not looking for business here. I'm just looking for a good story. We're going to give you $500 every month. We're doing it, right? It's call us up. Hey, Mike, we got this going on or this going on or that going on. I mean, I've got, if you're in the real estate world, you have got stories about things that would blow people away. We've got a squatter, speaking of which, parked his RV on one of our properties as we're trying to go through the probate process. I got a guy renting, the neighbor's renting the driveway out, right? Spaces, if you Google, we're here in Marin County. If you Google, like RV storage or where can I, something like that. And I've done this because we're RVers, but there's people renting out lots out in outside of Sonoma County. They've got a couple acres of land, and there's 15, 20 RVs out there at $200 or $300 a pop, because space is finite. Yeah, it blows me away, but it doesn't blow me away that this stuff's going on. And anyhow, we want to hear your story. 800-224-6962. The best story wins $500, and it could be yours.
Thank you for watching Real Estate Soup with Mike Osterman.